Do you remember the Martha K
Yes,
one?
yes.
Where she was telling us she bought a Range Rover and then the Range Rover got stolen. And so I sort of fell into her trap unwittingly. And she should be thankful, like, because I think I helped her campaign.
What if you're also on the gig?
Actually, wasn't.
Welcome, and of course, we are proudly once again joined by the king of radio, Bwana Fat Boy. Welcome to Creative Chaos.
Thanks for inviting me back. I had a really good time last time.
Awesome. Josh, take it away.
Ooh, yeah, good to have you, sir.
Thank you.
All right. So the topic today is about people who make others buy or make others believe or make others think this is the trend. You know, people who actually influence you to do something, but of course it should be in a measurable way, though there's still so many questions around the measurement of influence. So we're talking about influencers. We need to leave this table today after we've agreed upon something. Okay? And I want to know, can you define influence?
Well, you know, there's so many ways of attacking that question. Because first, you know, what do we mean by influence?
Yeah.
I feel like there's two approaches to it, which is in terms of raising awareness on an issue. And from a business perspective is how do you then convert that into a customer or into a purchase more specifically? And I think it's a fairly new industry, if I can call it that. And I think a lot of people, especially in the realm of marketing, are still trying to figure out the best way to serve their clients in that respect. I am seeing a lot of mistakes being made in this area. I think it's right now people are still learning how to figure it out. And what I currently see qualifying as influence or influencing isn't really accomplishing that, in my opinion, especially in Uganda, because I think people who wish to engage influencers, whether for awareness creation or mindset change, behavioral change, or even to make a purchase of a product or service, I feel like they haven't quite figured out exactly how to handle influence and whether or not it is simply one factor of many factors that will determine the success of a campaign or any form of advocacy or any sort of conversion to sales that you might want to do. Too often, I'll be more specific. So these days, if you say, okay, I'm launching a brand, I'm launching a service, they'll say, okay, let's get influencers. What they will do is look for the person that has the highest number of followers, or maybe has the highest number of engagement on their posts, right? I mean, that is easily measurable. And if I'm working in a social media agency, digital media agency, these are numbers that are easier to defend. So you go to the client and say, okay, this is the marketing plan. You're going to spend 100 million shillings. These are the influencers we're proposing. This one has 1 million followers. This one has 100,000. This one has 500,000. These are the exposures they get. Let's do the campaign. The client will look at those numbers and not ask further questions. And what ends up happening is that ultimately the campaign will fail. The client will have spent 100 million, paid all these influencers, and has generated no new conversions, no new sales, no new customers. And then he or she ends up just sort of giving up on the concept of influencing. And yet the mistake wasn't that they chose influencers. The mistake is that they chose the wrong type of influence and they chose
the tier,
the wrong metric. And yes, tier is something that people also discuss because a lot of, if we were to look at market segments, sometimes people like to think of them monolithically. And yet a lot of market segments are stratified. And so there are different tiers of influencers that may speak to and appeal to different segments of the public. And I think too often people lean into the ones that appear to be bigger, right? And that usually excites clients more than if you propose to them a tiered system of influence to say, well, this person has 5,000 followers, but is very influential. His or her followers listen to this person ardently. A client will say, but only 5,000. Why not give me the one who has 1 million followers? That one to him just instinctively, intuitively makes it seem like it's better bang for the buck. And yet usually such influencers will obviously be more expensive. They will obviously say, hey, I have a lot of followers, so pay me more. And yet the results will usually not be to the client's satisfaction.
of a quality, basically.
Quantity over quality. So you may have a person that has a zillion followers and a zillion engagements. The question you need to ask is, okay, why does this person have a lot of followers? And what do those followers look for in that person? If the person has followers because they generate drama, and a lot of us like to engage in drama on the internet. You go on the internet and you want to see someone abusing somebody. You want to see someone posting a sexy picture or discussing a very sexual topic, right? I mean, those typically attract a lot of attention, and the people who post such things consistently get high engagement and very large number of followers. But then, is that person going to be successful in convincing anyone to try out a brand or try out a product? That's not what their followers are there for. Their followers are there for
something else,
some drama. Who are we abusing today? Whose nudes have leaked today? That's why I follow you. I don't follow you to hear your opinions on what are the best products for.
Whose screenshots are we laughing at?
Whose screenshots are we laughing at? That's why we follow you. Not which telecom service should I utilize, which insurance company should I subscribe to, or which bank should I bank to. That's not why people will follow these followers typically. And I think it's gone on for long enough that people are starting to ask those questions, which I think is a good thing.
Do they necessarily have to be celebrities or well-known?
I don't think so.
Or it could be just a random guy who posts, engaging content
and that's the thing. And to go back to your question of tiers, I think the question of us on the concept of celebrity has really changed. Those days we used to think celebrity as in one person who can appeal to everyone.
Can sway opinion
But that's not how it works anymore. Social media has democratized the celebrity world to where everyone is their own little celebrity in their own little community. In my WhatsApp group of 200 members, I'm a celebrity. In my Facebook group, where I'm an admin, where I have maybe 1,000 followers, I'm the celebrity. They are more likely to listen to me than, say, someone who maybe is a singer and has 1 million followers. Yes, the person has the followers, but like I said, the relationship is a different one. The relationship between a follower of a Facebook page or a TikTok page or WhatsApp group and its admin and its or their core members is different from the relationship I will have with a celebrity I'm following. See, I follow the celebrity not because I respect their opinion. I follow the celebrity because I think maybe I like your music. Maybe I want to hear your next music releases. I'm not following you because I need you to tell me which telecom service to get. Whereas in my WhatsApp group, in my Facebook group, as small as it is of 200 members, if one person says, hey, I'm trying out this new service and man, it's amazing. I am more likely to try out that product from that recommendation than I would be if I saw a big social media influencer put out a tweet about it.
Right now, we should put influencer in quotes. For now.
Okay, so
yeah,
I mean, in the Ugandan context, there are a handful that may come to mind who have huge followings, right? And I don't want to look. Okay, so
but who qualifies?
Obviously, and right now she's everyone's favorite scapegoat, rightly or wrongly. But say Sheila Gashumba, who I believe is the single highest followed person on X, for example. Again, why do we follow her on X? Do we follow her on X because we want to know about good services or bad services? Or do we follow her because, we want to see her post a glamorous photograph of herself on an airplane traveling to Dubai to do she knows what? Or, driving a new Range Rover or things of that nature. Like we admire that and we attracted to those kinds of posts and so we follow her. But, what power might she have to influence people to try out a product or a service?
To try out a new Range Rover.
That is a question that only her partners can answer and her clients. But if you again look at the kinds of endorsements, if you just look at the how her endorsements have evolved over time.
Yes.
I'll recall when she was younger, you were seeing her getting a lot of corporate endorsements. It could just be, I'm not seeing it, but right now I'm not seeing a lot of that. I'm seeing her more in the club hosting events realm. Lifestyle realm, where, to be honest, maybe that's where she is stronger. And yes, on those issues, maybe she can speak with some authority and people will be interested to hear what she has to say. And so that's what I'm saying. But just by pure raw metrics of numbers of followers, she beats everybody hands down.
There was a time she posted something about, I think one of those branches, style and fashion branches. There's a particular branch that really went wild, and she said something, and to a point that Charles Onyango Bo said something, but of course in the context of his character.
What did he say?
He mentioned something about her disorganizing Ugandans, but also sort of shaping a certain narrative. But you know, he's a leading, well-respected, journal. But the way he tried to describe her, it's I think he talked about her uniting Ugandans,
In what?
on X.
What about?
Because uniting has a different meaning on X these days. These days, when
there's a time because Charles Onyango Bo is political. I mean, he's a political columnist or analyst. Now he was using her to basically, I think, sort of
recently, an African man united African men.
These days,
in that context, I think.
on social media, if you see
Yes.
someone saying
But
this one has united
my
Africa,
point
just
is-
know
my
there's
point
some
is-
pictures.
No, my
out
point
there.
is, by the time Charles Onyango Bo, a man of that stature and caliber, engages a tweet by Sheila, I think I don't know what that means, but I think that's a lot of influence.
See, but again, you see, I think we have to be clear about what we mean
He was
by
not endorsing
by
her.
influence,
I
because I think there's often a conflation regarding how much drama and attention someone can attract. Being able to attract attention is obviously a good thing and it's a powerful thing, but it's not sufficient to answer the question of whether or not you have
Can you
influence.
channel that attention?
The girl
It's
who
like
did
Andrew Mwenda picking up something or a commentary from you, but to push his narrative of commentary, of a social commentary or political commentary, but just...
I wish I understood the context in which he said that, because another example I'd like to point to is the Shifura girl. Do you remember her? Where for a period of time, she was the talk of the town. Like everyone loved her. It's like she was a national hero. For what did she do? She just sat on some guy's lap and blinked her very beautiful eyes at the camera, looking very cute and demure.
Yeah.
And we all fell in love with her. Everyone wanted a piece of her. She was invited to events, this and that. And for a period of time, she might have even...
James, hold up. Where is that word a thing lately?
Demure.
Yeah. Please.
I don't know where it came from, but it's an English word.
I think, okay, so maybe I'm
I've been in places and
maybe I'm misusing the word.
Like it's a thing.
I could be misusing the word, but my pedestrian mind tells me it means something along the lines of sensual and
Effortless.
pretty and easily, effortlessly attractive and sexy.
Okay, all right.
That's what I think of the word demure.
I digress, but yeah.
But point being,
Yes.
again, if it came to attention, no one had more attention than her in that period of time where she was the viral sensation.
Yes.
And then just last week, I saw an article saying, she's struggling to pay rent. She was seeking assistance from fans, like, guys, like, I'm struggling to eat. I can't survive. And again, she had the attention, but she obviously didn't have the kind of influence that she could have leveraged to for any commercial purposes. I mean, I did see her endorsing a number of. I might have seen her endorse a beauty salon or some phone electronic shop, but I mean, where did that lead? It led nowhere. Meaning, whatever attention she was able to attract probably wasn't sufficient to be leveraged into a call to action for people to buy a product or
Are some of these
or buy a service.
In your opinion, do you think some of these are meant to be diversions from something?
No, I think it's organic. I think, and if it is a diversion, it is that we seek the diversion. Look, you're working your job, you're running your hustle, you're frustrated at the end of the day, right? And you just need that occasional diversion to take your mind off of
something to escape and
the escape. Comic relief, if you will. And so people like the Shifra girl come around and, you know, we all dive in and enjoy the moment. You know, we enjoy the sensation. We laugh at the memes and everything else. And for a period of time, it's fun. But then she would have then served her purpose.
The end in mind really is not, clear.
We will then discard her and look for the next hot sensation, which for the month of November is that Equatorial Guinea guy, right?
Yeah.
And then he'll also be forgotten and we'll be looking for the next thing.
Yeah.
And
so these are not influencers.
No, but I bring these examples up to just sort of highlight the difference between being able to attract attention and being able to influence
opinion.
Channel that attention.
Right. And so a lot of the people that qualify as influencers in this market tends to be people who are simply good at attracting attention. And I have never hired an influencer myself, so I would not know to what degree they are effective in driving consumption, although I have been engaged as an influencer. And in my case, I can definitively state that in places where I have partnered with people, they have seen the results. Because when people reach out to me to influence, I would have to say the people who've reached out to me have been fairly smart people who kind of see what I do on social media, see my lifestyle, and they're like, I think this guy can speak on my brand or speak on my product.
Speak on, not display, but speak.
So everyone knows I have famously been on a weight loss journey, right? A bodily transformation. I was a very, very big guy before. And I have discussed my journey extensively. And so a food company, came to me and said, hey, actually, we see you talking about this kind of diet, this kind of nutritional program. It so happens that we actually specialize in that. Do you think we can work together? We'd like for you to be able to promote it and to get people interested in what we're doing. I said, yeah, sure. I was happy to support it. And also it was a friend of mine. So I began to promote it, and they were offering a service that actually wasn't a very cheap one. You know, it was like a month program of where like you pay like 2 million, 2.5 million for a program that could go about 3 months. And now on the surface, you might think, wow, that's too expensive. Who'd even pay? But I took it on, I spoke on it, and the conversions were crazy. Like a lot of people reached out to my client and wanted to try out the diet. And the reason that they wanted to and were willing to spend that money is because the proof was in the pudding, if I could say. So when I speak on weight loss, like I'm not just doing a gig. Like you can see it. Like you can see, we know what this guy used to look like. We see how he looks like now. We like the change we've seen. And we trust that when he says this is how you should go about it, that it's something you should do. Now, if my client had instead decided, hey, let me go look for the person with the most followers, right? They would have got on paper zillions of engagements. Because, you know, I'm a modest-sized social media personality. On social media, I'm not like a huge account. But would he have obtained the conversions that I was able to?
And you got paid very well.
So
some money.
I mean, it is what it is. It is what it is. It's a hustle, right?
It's nice, yeah.
And so, no, but so my point is that on the question of influence, I would argue that with respect to that product, I was a more impactful influencer than say an influencer with 500,000 followers, who the client would have had to spend probably much more money than mine spent on me, and would have obtained fewer conversions on the product they were selling.
So that's like it's like a new way of a media buy. You really have to be careful.
So don't just say, okay, so I have this product, I want to launch it. Let me just look for the person with the most followers. No.
Noise.
Who can make the most noise? No, if you have a product, you say, who best speaks to the issues that my product addresses? You know, if I'm offering, like if I have a beauty parlor, hair salon, who out there can authoritatively and convincingly speak to people on this to make them interested in trying out our service?
Your take on two things. trending vis-a-vis engagement?
Well, I mean, trending is algorithmic. If you're able to generate enough chatter on a particular issue,
Your trend.
or of yourself, then yeah, you will trend. And sometimes, I mean, that alone can be gratifying. Look, sometimes you just want to be the talk of the town. And there is also a way you can leverage that as an influencer, obviously, from a business perspective. Obviously, if you are a regularly trending personality, then yeah, that certainly might make you more attractive in the eyes of...
Because I've seen some of these guys being given KPIs. We have to trend.
Yeah.
We must trend.
and let me tell you something.
We have to trend.
And I've done influencing for different brands, and I'll tell you that the worst kind of client is the kind that sort of feeds you the lines and then just gives you like a gazillion hashtags where it looks like a gig. You got what I mean?
Yes. It's
It,
not organic,
like it looks
So,
like
yeah.
someone just reads your tweet or
And
your
just
post
knows
and just
that.
knows you're putting that out there because you got paid to. And that significantly diminishes the persuasive power of your message because to your followers, they're like, yeah, that's just your gig. Instead of them feeling like, yeah, this is your opinion on this issue. I value your opinion and I am going to try out what you're recommending, which is the more organic way. But because a lot of these campaigns are handled through intermediaries, such as agencies, for agencies, it would appear that their metrics of measurement are different. They want to be able to go to clients and say, your hashtag generated so many impressions, this, that, and the other. And they do that at the cost of obtaining actual impact, because ironically, the actual impact is often not really measurable. Like if you're doing, say, a campaign to influence behavioral change, you can't really easily measure that on a person-by-person basis. What you can measure, though, are the analytics. And so a lot of the messaging for social media influencers will be skewed towards boosting the analytics, which often is antithetical to the desired goal of actually creating impact.
Yeah.
You get?
Yes.
So they will say, a company will tell you, okay, mention my brand, mention my prices, put there my email, put there my phone numbers, put there my web address. The whole thing just looks like a damn ad.
Yeah.
People, your followers just ignore that and they wait for your next drama post. Whereas if you were allowed to simply mention these products or services like in passing, right? Then you are more likely to create conversion and create interest in that product or service on your
There's
followers.
a particular campaign I wanted to, not a campaign, but I think it was a CSR, I hope so, where MTN, I think, gifted a lady a pickup. And the whole thing went viral. Gig or well-intentioned?
Well, I mean, no, I think that was different.
How it came out.
I think that was different because, like, in the case of that woman, obviously, I mean, as I understand it, they did a news report and they showed she was driving a dilapidated vehicle for her vegetable business. And there was an outpouring of sympathy towards her from the masses, just organically. People saw the clip and were like, man, she's doing great.
Yes.
And MTN saw that and said, hey, there's an opportunity
strategically.
here. Let's help her out. And I think they got a lot of good sort of capital out of that. That one I think was effective. But and I would argue that those are probably better ways of engaging in sort of that sort of CSR stuff, which is slightly different from engaging an influencer though. Because with an influencer, that is a more concerted and sustained effort towards a particular goal. Whereas that is more like, hey, an opportunity has come up. So how about we hop on board? Which they did to their credit and it worked for them.
So is influence about trust or visibility?
Trust. You are asking people to do one of two things. To spend money on a product or sample a product or change their behavior. And the only way you can compel a person to do that is if they trust you. If I'm asking you to spend your money, you have to trust what I'm saying.
Not because I see you frequently.
No.
But we seem
Top
to
of mind
have,
awareness, like-
we seem to have more see me frequently, talk about this thing, and I hope you'll buy.
Well, I don't know if you were following the recently concluded U.S. elections. So obviously Democrats are licking their wounds and wondering, what happened. As I think you can tell which team I'm on. But so my team essentially had a more organic approach towards influencers, wherein a lot of the conversations were being driven by podcasters, YouTube content creators, and people like that. And in the following the loss by Kamala Harris, you're having Democrats and they're writing op-eds like in the New York Times saying, hey, we need our version of Joe Rogan. We need to also invest in online influencers. And conservatives, right-wing people are saying, guys, you have it backwards, as in you're pulling the cart before the horse. The reason why these people became influential is because they built a following through trust. There were small content creators just plopping up a microphone in their bedrooms, talking into a webcam about their opinions on various issues. It resonated with people and they grew in subscribers and things and followers to the point where eventually they grew so big that they could potentially now influence
go
opinions.
head to head with the celebrities on the other
exactly.
team.
Whereas if you looked at Democrats, what were Democrats doing? You saw their conventions, you saw their events. They were just parading artists. Hollywood actors, Billboard record-breaking musicians, Eminems, Beyonce. I mean, the top artists of this generation.
But not trusted.
They're not trusted. Yeah. Yes, I may like Taylor Swift. I may like Eminem. I may like Beyonce. But I like them for their music. I don't.
They cannot.
I don't care about their political. Exactly.
Yeah.
But I care about the political opinion of the guy I follow on YouTube, whose channel I'm subscribed to, where he occasionally makes stupid jokes or he live streams himself playing a video game. That's the guy I trust. That's my boy. That's my dude. Not this high-paid celebrity who is essentially and really was transparently, it was obvious to everyone that it was a pay-to-play, that these artists were just coming out and were saying what they were saying because they were being paid to. And now it has emerged that they did receive a lot of money for these endorsements. I feel like there's a lesson to be learned there also, in that if you want to have impactful influencer campaigns, you need to engage people who have the trust of their followers. It doesn't matter if the person has 2,000 followers, but if their followers trust them, you will have better success. You'd rather give the guy with 2,000 followers
than the 10K,
300K to push your thing, if the thing you're pushing speaks to that person's audience, versus paying 20 million to a person with a million followers, thinking that person will change minds. You'll be surprised at the difference. You'll probably get more conversion from the 300K you gave the guy with 2,000 followers versus the 20 million you gave the person with a million followers.
Locally, is there any particular scenario you can point out that you witnessed and you're like, oh, this has gone south so bad. Like, this is so bad.
What do you mean?
In terms of campaigns.
Influencing
campaigns.
Yes. Where you're like, oh my God. Like actually.
Okay, like where the campaign.
Like someone actually approved this and,
I mean, to be honest, I can't say it has really impacted me directly, because a lot of the things I see being influenced aren't really things that impact me. But for example, what example can I give? Gosh, this is hard. Influencer. So, all right, I think I did see a bunch of people pushing lubricants, vaginal lubricants. I thought that was a very effective campaign, actually. I know you're asking me for the ones which sucked, but I just thought I'd throw that in there.
Yes.
Basically for heterosexual couples who may be struggling in that area. I think the people they chose to speak on it were pretty effective. It got a lot of people talking. And there were a lot of debates created on the issue of lubrication, which is a very sensitive topic, where in a country where there's a lot of currency on the degree to which a woman can self-lubricate, let's be honest. It's very controversial. But I thought that was good. But as for a campaign that was bad, I would say that I haven't seen a campaign that was bad, but I've seen campaigns that were kind of just bland, where you could have been done better. You saw the post, and you're like, yeah, they're pushing it, but like it did nothing for you.
The PS5 guys.
You kind of just moved on.
There's these kids who...
You know what I mean?
These kids who do fake proposals, fake wedding proposals.
Marriage proposals and you go on your knee and whatever.
Wait.
The girl comes at CJ's and the restaurant.
I've seen that, but are those influencers? What are they pushing?
PS5.
Oh, yeah.
Wrong target
A gaming shop.
Yes. It was a gaming shop that was behind that.
Yeah.
I would have to wonder, and we would have to ask
I mean,
them.
what's the correlation? A proposal and
This girl, the idea was this girl brought this boy a PS5.
Yeah,
Okay.
I saw that one.
Oh, yeah, and it went south. Of course, it was like, no, I don't want that. So, I don't know, was a PS4 or something? So people discover later this is a gig. Yeah, but the talkability around it had already moved. By the time,
but of course, it had taken a different dimension.
Yeah,
You see, and
opposed
that's
to the actual message.
actually, and I'm glad you brought that up because I think it sort of speaks to some of the issues with how people understand influencing, where people are thinking, as long as I get exposure, that's half the work done. I actually think you're not even off the ground. I don't think you can simply create, like you do pull stunts to create exposure.
That's not trust.
But that's not building trust, and that often will not yield, conversions. I once got embroiled in a controversy. I don't know if you remember this one. Do you remember the Martha K
Yes,
one?
yes.
Where she was telling us she bought a Range Rover and then the Range Rover got stolen. And so I sort of fell into her trap unwittingly. And she should be thankful, because I think I helped her campaign. She essentially reported the car as having been stolen. Now, before that, I was kind of teasing her about how she acquired the car. I said, "Nah, you didn't even buy it. You didn't even.
Yes.
Some dude probably even bought it for you.
You were feeding
Exactly.
the monster.
And she saw that and she's like, So she turned it into a controversy where she put out posts saying, "Oh, a guy who I respect is insulting me. He can't even let a poor girl prosper. This is unfair." And obviously, people ran to her sympathy, and I was the bad guy.
Yeah.
And that helped push interest in the story. But hang on.
Yeah.
So in the end, it turns out that it was all a ruse to promote a car tracking company.
Yeah.
The question I have to ask, and I'm curious to know the answer to this, and only they can tell us, but how many people subscribe to the car tracking service? They got the attention. Do you even remember the name of the company?
I'm actually just finding out it was a Baalaga tracker.
You didn't know?
I didn't know.
It was.
I didn't know.
I later found out.
So that's the thing.
What if you're also on the gig?
Actually wasn't, and that's why to Martha's credit,
Yes.
I mean, she was obviously aiming for attention and drama.
Landed into it.
And when I inserted myself in the conversation, I gave her the perfect.
I've seen a couple. I've seen a couple. I've seen a couple of them with Sheila Gashumba.
Yeah. I mean, sometimes I feed into the drama deliberately. I do, but some people can sort of use that and leverage it to draw more attention to the thing that they are pushing. And that's fine.
Yes.
All I'm saying is that does one thing. It creates attention and a drama. That it does. And people like that. So for a couple of days, they're all on Facebook calling me a bad guy, sympathizing with Martha, all well and good. My question is, once you've done the reveal and you say, okay, actually I'm promoting a car tracking business, from that, how many people are going to go and check out the car tracking thing?
I hear you.
And that's why I'm saying the only people who can answer that are those people. But I would be surprised if it led to conversions. I would be surprised. I don't know how much she got paid for it, but I would be surprised. And a lot of companies engage in these sort of stunt-based campaigns, which does get the traction, but I'm not sure always translates to conversion. And I think especially you've spent a lot of money on a campaign like that, I think you'd hesitate to go in that same direction again. And that is why you are seeing a lot of hesitation now, companies having with influencers, where they now don't trust influencers because they think, oh, you're just going to eat my money, but it's not going to lead to sales. And so now a lot of people will try to tie your income to volume of sales. They will say, to a metric that they can say, you know what? Instead of giving you a flat fee, they will say, okay, you'll get so much % of whatever units you push. And that's probably a smarter way to do it.
Help me understand, how intentional are you? So we have Fat Boy. and then we have RX. There's some conversations I see you in, I'm like, okay, is this good for the station? And then, of course, as RX, you expect objectivity and things like that. But there are some conversations you walk in and you're like, okay, what is Fatboy up to here?
So
how do you compartmentalize?
All right. So the last time I was here, I think I alluded to the fact that we are in the twilight era of traditional media. Like, if I'm being frank with you, traditional media is phasing out, is fading away. Yeah? To some people, it's happening faster, but really, when you look at it, you can see that the trend is there, that there is a shift away from consumption of
The curve is going
traditional
down.
media.
Yes.
Exactly. And what little traditional media people still engage with, they engage with it on social media. So I always like to say, I've never watched NBS in my life. Like, I've never sat and watched an NBS program. I don't even know what programs they have. But if I'll occasionally stumble on their clips on social media, right? And this is true of even some radio stations here. I won't name the radio station, but someone said, wait, are they a radio station? I thought they were a TikTok channel. They're a fairly new radio station. I think you know the one I'm referring to.
Yes.
Okay.
It's okay.
So-
it's okay. It's okay. It's
All
okay.
right.
It's okay. It's
Now
okay.
listen.
Yes.
They've done very well in
Yes.
that arena. And I think they should keep doing it. It's excellent. What I'm saying is that actually is a symptom of a trend that people aren't noticing, which I'm sure they have, which is this is how people engage with our content now. I think they've looked at it and realized that there's probably fewer people listening to the actual programs than are actually interacting with our social media posts. And if that's the reality, then we in media must ask ourselves, okay, then what do we prioritize? These days, if articles are written about me in, say, blogs or news publications, it'll be about what I said on social media.
Yes.
15 years ago, oh, did you hear what Fatboy said on The Breakfast Show? Did you hear what Alex said on The Breakfast Show? Did you hear what Katolo Obama said on The Breakfast Show? Those days are over. Now it's, what did he post? What did he tweet? What did he discuss?
Yeah.
I've never gone anywhere and someone is discussing, hey, Gaetano and Lucky talked about this today. What I do see people doing is sharing their little twerking videos, which they like very much. You get it? And to their credit, they started this stuff long time ago. So they
Yes.
caught the wave
incumbents in that space now.
at the early stages. We
Yes.
were making fun of them, but they knew what they were doing.
Yes.
You mean the twerking?
The
radio-
twerking videos, the dancing
radio
videos.
presenters?
Yes, which did a very good job to endear themselves to their followers at a time when, again, attention was shifting away from traditional media when it came
From talking heads.
from talking heads. Exactly. So now, if you are going to if you still want to be relevant as a media personality in traditional media, you have to also be a social media personality. And in fact, I remember seeing an advertisement from Next Radio when they were doing their new wave of recruitments. Part of the requirements for applications was you had to have a sizable social media
Following, yes.
or else don't bother. Don't come to us just saying, oh, I have a nice voice and opinions. Those metrics don't matter.
Yes.
So to answer your question, when you see me engaging in my shenanigans on social media, sometimes I will, cross the line and I'll be spicy, but ultimately it helps me because the fact of the matter is I, as myself, as Fatboy, I'm larger than the brand of the station.
Yes.
I'm more well
Rightfully
known.
so. I mean, rightfully so, yes.
You get it? And any business opportunities that I've been able to channel to the station has been courtesy of me as a personality, me personal. Which, so we have a bit of a symbiotic relationship. So the station relies very much on the strength of my persona. And so it behooves me to ensure that I put in the work to continue to maintain that relevance. Otherwise, everything else suffers.
Yeah.
So rather than saying the radio might suffer because of what I say or do on social media, in fact, the radio relies on what I say or do on social media
Yes.
for its continued viability. And this is something that, I came to realize at some point. And so that's sort of the course that I'm on.
That's a trick now.
Like your fights with the Rainbow
Tricks of the
Nation
trade.
Oh, the Rainbow guys?
Yes.
Yeah, and again,
Not the new rainbow guys.
The Rainbow Coalition.
Now,
So the thing is, look,
it keeps morphing.
we had a very nice rainbow growing up as children. Not this
the
one.
new version of the rainbow.
The new version of the rainbow, yeah. That would be.
Well, I mean,
alphabet gang.
you got to pick your battles, you know. And I always ask myself, okay, what degree of authenticity am I willing to shed? And there are times I second guess myself. I say, if I say this, you know, the wrong people might see it and get upset with what I'm saying.
Yes.
But I'm like, fuck it. Let's say, and that's another thing. And here's another thing is that
before you go there, sorry to cut you short.
Sure.
Influencing is about changing minds, selling, creating movement. So, is there a universal approach to getting these influencers? To say, okay, this is the kind of person we want. Is there like a universal definition of what these people should be doing for your brand?
So I guess it depends on the kind of business that you are doing. And it is on that basis that you should decide on who to approach. Like I said, for a lot of the bigger to medium-sized to bigger-sized companies, usually they will act through intermediaries. They will deal with digital agencies. And digital agencies are, in a way, just as desperate as the influencers themselves. They too are heavily dependent on these opportunities. And so when seeking influencers, they will do everything possible to minimize risk. It is less risky to get a big influencer, big by raw number, say a person with 500,000 followers. If I take that influencer to my client and the campaign doesn't work out, I can easily ascribe the failure of that campaign to other factors, because you can't say it was the influencer, I got you the biggest. But if I took the risk and decided to use a more tiered approach and a more stratified approach to say, okay, I think I can, instead of getting one big one, I can get maybe 10 medium to small sized influencers that have trust in their community. If that campaign doesn't work out, then it's my head on the chopping block. The client will say, you failed me.
Yes.
Because it is going to be harder for me to defend why I gave a person with 1,000 followers, say 1 million shillings, than defending the fact that I gave a person with 1 million followers 20 million shillings. That's an easier sell. You get it?
Yes.
It requires less explaining, and intuitively to the business owner, it might make sense to him. And so because of their risk aversion, they will often skew towards the safe influencers, the ones that are easier to defend. And usually it will not lead to conversion. And so you end up with this vicious cycle with these influencer campaigns that really yield no results, but you find the same people continuing to be engaged. And the end result of that is that the corporate world will just become jaded with influencers, which I think is unfortunate. So what I would advise is for companies to deal more directly with the influencers themselves and be willing to take risks.
I like that it's ambiguous. I mean, even the process is ambiguous.
It's undefined.
It's basically you, the business owner or the brand owner, to determine what metric you want from an influencer. Because if you pay TV and you want to onboard new decoder subscribers and you need to speak to certain individuals.
This
Not
is true.
everybody.
But I think I forgot to mention that even doing so is only half the work. Because first of all, your product has to be sellable. Like, you know, like no matter which influencer you get,
You can't shove it down people's
if
throats.
the product is crap, then do you know what I mean? If the service or the product is crap,
If I'm
there's no amount of influencing.
Yeah.
And I think some companies have decided to use that as a shortcut. Have a crap product or substandard one and just say, let me just get an influencer and they'll push my thing.
Yeah.
Instead of putting in the work to maybe improve service, improve distribution, improve network coverage, whatever it might be, improve pricing, all the other possible incentives they could embark on to make their product or service more attractive, they will neglect and say, influencers will take us across the finish line, which is very rarely the case. It has to work together. The influencer is the icing on the cake. So you have to get your product right, your pricing right, your distribution channels right, and then hire an effective influencer who can speak to the audience.
Okay, so we have a bit of a time challenge, and I want to just put this across to you. Niching. If I've seen you, Fat Boy, as an influencer for keto diet, and then I see you on a gig for a beer brand, which is goes against the keto diet, and then the next thing you're pushing, what does that mean for you?
Okay, so
I know for you, literally, it's numbers. Bottom line, they're all paying.
a gig is a gig, money is money, so take it wherever it comes
And they
from.
say a win is a win.
Right. So obviously, and this will be hard for many influencers, but you kind of have to be mindful of that because look, it's a trust system. And yeah, if your followers see you endorsing different products that are contradictory to one another,
to what you're known for,
then obviously, for example, you can't influence for one telecom today and tomorrow on another one. That one's not going to be believable unless you're able to create a good rationale for it, right? So you can say, you know what, I was using the other product, but it was crap, so now I'm on this one. So in my case, if I were to embark on influencing for like a beer business, I would speak on it from the perspective of being able to manage it wisely. So even as we embark on healthy lifestyles with good diets, it doesn't preclude us from or exclude us from enjoying sort of more normal things. So just because I'm on a keto diet doesn't mean I can't occasionally have a beer.
Yeah,
right?
true. Yeah.
Or that I can't occasionally enjoy a pizza. You might have heard of people talk about cheat days, right? So so even while people may spend the majority of the week, let's say, trying to eat healthy, if it's the weekend, spoil yourself, go grab a burger, grab a pizza, cheat days, and
hit the gym.
Or hit the gym. Yeah, exactly. So when I sometimes do advocacy for sort of more the more normal types of food brands or food services, then you will see me frame it within the purview of, hey, it's cheat day. Today I felt like really digging in. And so here's what I'm having today. I've been looking forward all week. This whole week I've been eating healthy, but this weekend, man, I was just feeling like stuffing my face and I decided to go for this. I feel like that's a compelling way of being able to talk about such food services without being contradictory to the spirit and message of eating healthy. So I think that there's honest ways of doing it that can still work. And so I wouldn't say an influencer should completely shy away, but they should at least be mindful of how they want to go about it.
They should niche. They should have a line of operation. Like
exactly. And if you are going to occasionally stray into other territory, put some thought into how you want to do it, because it will come across
subtle
as
disclaimers and
either a disclaimer or, like I said, a good explanation.
You can't be this person whose wife is pregnant and it's showing pictures and then you're telling people about condoms.
Well, hang on a second. You can't be the person who's doing what?
Your wife is pregnant, just took a photo shoot and it's all nice, but like,
and then you're pushing condoms.
No, but you can
and
still
then you're like, no.
You can still do that. We've just had our baby, and we think we now want to take our time with the next one. So until we decide to have another baby, we are going to be using
choice of contraception.
This is now our choice of contraception.
All right.
Don't you think that squares up?
No, that's a good angle. But somebody will do exactly what we talked about. They'll be pushing keto. And oh my, their food pictures.
Like I said, and that's where the trust element comes in. And I think your followers know that you are a person. And that's another thing, is that your followers, trust doesn't mean they believe everything you say.
Yes.
Trust means that they believe you are at least sincere.
You're authentic.
Right? And that if you make a mistake, it'll be an honest one.
Yeah.
And that there is room for you to correct yourself and to change.
Faith-based influencing. Especially the Pentecostal arrangement.
Do they do that?
Oh.
No.
Isn't it built into
what he's saying is he's agreeing. I think that one of the best influencers we have are pastors.
Okay.
What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, when it comes to religion, hang on, but when it comes to religion, I think influencing is built into the worldview, isn't it? Because even the scriptures will tell you to be a light. What is it? You're the salt of the world, light of the world. So you are encouraged to live by example, and that your lived example is, in fact, and I've heard them say that your lived example is the best form of ministry. People would rather see how you're living righteous life, prosperous and happy, and that is more convincing to them to convert to your religion than you preaching to them.
The chaps in the gig, the gig chaps themselves.
What do you mean?
Influencers themselves.
Within the church?
The keyboard warriors, because they also have keyboard warriors.
The church guys?
Yes.
Oh, yes. Okay, yeah. I won't name the church, but there is one.
One random Tuesday, it's one particular church. Then
there's a pastor who I see trending almost every day on Twitter. He obviously has a following of people that are quite active on social media. And now, I don't know. In his case, it seems like a lot of people are, I mean, his is a growing ministry, obviously.
Yes.
Meaning the influencing is working. Obviously, it doesn't mean everyone will be attracted to it, but there will be a sizable number of people who will either be curious or will want to check it out. Because his is a growing ministry, and I don't know if we're all thinking of the same guy.
Yes.
But if we are, it can't be argued that it's not working. Yeah. I think it's working.
It's working.
In their case,
whatever the strategy.
In closing, just one question. Maybe this person is listening on this brand. Which brand would you be very much comfortable influencing in your next?
Oh my gosh. I mean, like in this market, generally, internationally.
Here, locally, Ugandan. As a creative radio.
Oh,
guy.
Well, let's see. That's an interesting one.
If they give me this one,
I can do something crazy with it.
Knock it out of the park.
Wow, let me see.
One or two.
Let me think about it. Oh yeah, so I keep telling these Pepsi guys, right? Crown. I keep telling them, let me promote Pepsi Max.
But you're that guy.
Well,
I've seen you do
Aquafina. Yes, I've done Aquafina, but I've not done Pepsi Max.
Yes.
I drink a lot of Pepsi Max. It's like I drink that every day, just naturally. I use it to punch my beverages.
They're listening.
Guys. So yes, we have partnered on a number of other brands.
Yes, but
I'm saying specifically,
yes.
Put some money aside for Pepsi Max, man. Let's make this pop. We can do this.
True. That's nice. we don't have to forget the business end of this thing. So that's a good one. I hope they come through.
Yeah, hope so.
All right. Thank you for coming.
Thank you.
All of you guys listening to us or watching, please feel free. Talk to us. Who do you think is a real influencer? Creative Chaos, over and out.